Good evening and welcome to I'm Listening Live. I'm Listening is a 24/7, 365 initiative that works to center mental health and also let you know that we're here and we're listening. You can check out all past episodes on alltheradio.com handles. And we got some good news tonight. Signed into law was a bill that's going to give us more access to mental health resources. Current administration is going to be creating a new number, 988. That's right. In the past, if you needed some mental health care or support, we had longer, unknown 10-digit numbers, and also sometimes people would contact the police. Now, we know that the police aren't the best resource for mental health needs. We want to put that on mental health professionals, and 988 would give us access to that. And we're also told by some of the phone carriers that that will be a non-charge. So again, that number will be for mental health emergencies, and I'm always glad when I see any form of government prioritizing mental health and giving us easier and clear and more direct access. So that's definitely good news, as we've seen an increase in mental health struggles and also a huge increase in people reaching out to these mental health numbers and resources. All right, now let's go to our first guest, licensed therapist James Guay. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So good to be here with you.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. How is your mental health doing right now through all of this?
Oh boy.
Loaded
It's
question.
been a rough haul, right? I think therapists are ourselves feeling it as well. So it's going well. I'm having my own therapy sessions when I need to. I'm doing my own self-care. I'm trying to practice what I preach, and still it can be really difficult at times, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. I think some people think we're superhumans and that we don't have our own struggles. And I've been trying to talk more about that, just dealing with my own anxiety right now around everything.
Yeah. I'm even bringing it up in session where I'm like, I too am experiencing in the moment exactly what you're talking about, you know? And so let's work through this together. Let's figure out a way that's going to help you thrive a little bit more.
And that's kind of our segue. You know, life is happening right now in the midst of a lot of different things, election time. And I feel like prior elections haven't brought up the topic of mental health in the way that the current one does. So kind of hold our hand through that right now. What is election stress all about?
Oh boy, it is about feeling increased anxiety and depression and hopelessness and taking it out on the people that are sort of around us at times, right? It's interesting that it's in August, the APA had the Harris poll come out, and they, based on the recipients who were interviewed, they said that 2/3 of US adults, that's 68%, say that this election season is having a significant source of stress in their real life. And that's not just one political party or another. That's like literally 76% for Democrats, 67% for Republicans, and 64% for independents. So we're all feeling it.
Yeah. And how much of that do you think is amplified by being in a pandemic? Do you think that they're intersecting, or do you think they're separate?
Oh, there's so much that's happening. There's so many unknowns, right? And there's so much that's on the line, and there's a polarization and heightened judgment. And, you know, for us to feel like there's so many unknowns in the world, often what we do is try and have a felt sense of control or power over things. And sometimes that can come out as, you know, being critical and judgy and just putting it all out there, trying to control the people around us in ways that are not so helpful oftentimes.
Yeah, I know I've had to just monitor my own self, and I have to be a little more thoughtful before I hit post, right, on social media, because I've had some days where I just want to rage.
I have those days too, right there with you.
So,
and that's the thing, you know, we need to use our anger and our angst in ways that can have a positive impact. So, you know a lot of people are talking about this right now, but part of that for me was literally like the next day, like I got my ballot in the mail. I filled it out. The next morning I took it, I put it in the box outside West Hollywood Public Library that's designated for it. And I can't tell you how therapeutic that felt in ways that I'd never experienced before. That was the fastest I've ever filled out that thing.
I love that. And I was the same way. But, just to make complicated matters more complicated, we also have to be aware of whether or not it's a legitimate ballot box.
Exactly.
Like the stressors don't stop.
Oh, my word. It's like 2020 is just throwing everything at us. And it's extreme. I think it's important to acknowledge that these are extreme times. There's a global pandemic. There's, the presidential debate was a whole debacle. There's there's an intensity of people's experiences and so many unknowns and so many tragedies and so much gaslighting that it's just a lot to contend with. So we need to acknowledge that for ourselves.
So what tips do you have for those that are worried about election night itself? Those, if it goes the way that people are wanting, clearly they'll celebrate. But if it goes the way that people are scared it will, what tips would you give them for that night?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, as therapists, we're going to say this. We need to feel our feelings. We need to actually allow ourselves to acknowledge our vulnerability and whatever is up, even if it's something that we didn't anticipate, right? To allow ourselves to acknowledge what does exist, to not force it to be something different. And then it's what we do with it that makes the biggest difference, right? So if we can have that mindful presence and then attend to whatever's there in a much more caring way, it might mean that we need to take a break from the constant news stream that we get 24/7. It might mean that we need to take a walk around the block. It might be that we need to call a friend or get some physical exercise. There's so many different ways that we can try and control what's within our power to control. When so much is outside of our power and control.
Yeah, I'm going to be definitely having community and social support ready because, I'm self-isolating. So I'm at home on my own. So I'm going to be watching it by myself. And if it doesn't go well, I'm going to have my friends ready on speed dial, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember in 2016, I literally bawled because I knew what was going to transpire, right? And, we've experienced that for the last almost 4 years now. And so, we need to have a plan in place to acknowledge the reality of the situation and to integrate moments of pleasure or hope or gratitude. Not about toxic positivity. It's not about ignoring all the stuff that's going on, the racial, social injustices in the world. It's about integrating some amount of positive experiences as much as we can to include that into our experience for our own mental health and well-being.
Yeah, got to center our mental health. Well said. Well, listen, fingers crossed. We're all going to be prepared, and we'll have you back on. We'll have you back on afterwards to talk about post-election aftercare.
Exactly. That's a thing, right?
It's going to have to be. All right, James Guay, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a beautiful night. And there it is, finding control where we can find control, surrounding yourself with available resources. Like I said, I was serious. I'm going to have my friends available if there are people I need to reach out to. And also, like James said, feel our feelings. Don't shame them, don't deny them, and don't stuff them. No toxic positivity. Feel your feels. It's how we're going to get through this and know that we're all in it together. Now let's go to our next guest, Jake, singer, songwriter, and got to throw this one in there, viral sensation. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Over 5 billion. I mean, when I read that number, it hurt my head.
Yeah. Insane.
Well done. So I always like to start by asking people about their mental health. Right now, we're in a pandemic, along with a lot of other things happening right now. How are you doing mental health wise?
Honestly, the beginning of the pandemic was definitely tough for my mental health. I rely heavily on friends in church and God primarily. And when I wasn't able to see anybody, that was really tough for me. But things started opening back up where I'm from in Rhode Island before all of this happened. And that definitely helped me a lot. But I would say, as far as my mental health goes, I know social media is such a big kind of vice for me. And I know it's kind of toxic to my mental health, honestly. So through all of this, the success recently, the way I've been kind of managing my mental health has been through keeping checks on my social media, make sure I don't get too dive deep into them, and ultimately just being able to focus on my relationship with God. That's been like my primary focuses.
I applaud you. So many people are bringing up the impact that social media has on their mental health, and I'm so thankful that people are acknowledging that and doing what they need to do around that. So well done. Let's jump right in. You went from performing in church to TikTok. That's quite a jump. How does that happen?
Man, I mean, it starts off with just a super musical family. My dad's a pastor and my mom's a music teacher. So what better way than to just put them together? I started off on stage at church at the age of 7, and all the way up until about 17 years old, I was playing about 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow.
Drums, piano, guitar. And yeah, I started off just being really musical. And then at the age of 14, I started messing with production on my friend's computer. And that was when I really fell in love with the creation process. And it started off just writing songs. And then I heard about TikTok. I decided to put some stuff up there, and it just went really viral.
I love the confidence. You're like, I just literally played every single instrument, started messing around with production, and now I'm a sensation. So what was it like? I read in your bio that you left college to really get into music. That had to have been something that might have given a little anxiety to your family.
Yeah. I mean, my plan at the time was to just go to college for music education, just like my mom, just following her footsteps. And I realized it just wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to do something big and something different. And I was at college for about a year and a half, and I was just like, well, this isn't really helping my dream much, which is to be a recording artist and travel around the world and sing songs and write songs. Like, that isn't really helping. So I was just like, Mom, Dad, I think it's time. I want to drop out. I want to give this my full attention. And that was when we decided, like, okay, if you're going to work hard and you're going to go for it, then you got to go for it 100%.
Oh, I love that they're able to be supportive, because I can see where that could scare some people. But, again, props to you for going after your dream and what made sense to you and not staying in a process that wasn't working.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So this whole TikTok thing, I'm going to call it out. I'm very unfamiliar. I've seen a few of them. What drives someone to put something on TikTok? Is it just, like a Instagram thing where you wanted to get your music out there and have people able to access it?
Yeah, I would say the difference between TikTok and a lot of other social media platforms is that the way they design the algorithm, it actually allows pretty much anybody to go viral. If you have a great enough idea, a great enough video, you're able to go from 0 followers to an overnight sensation, which is usually what happens with the majority of TikTok influencers. It happens very quickly. And that's really drawing to a lot of people who maybe have a business they want to promote. They have a dream of being a YouTuber, or like myself, be an artist. That dream can become a reality through TikTok. And ultimately, it kind of takes away those big doors that stop people from getting to where they want to be. TikTok is definitely unique in that way.
I love that. I think everyone should have a right to get their art and creativeness out there. I interviewed a large celebrity a couple years ago, and one of the things she said was she's very frustrated by that. And I thought, yeah, but it levels the playing field. It gives everyone an opportunity. It's more fair.
Yeah, I agree.
And also right now, I think TikTok is giving people a lot of joy and fun in a really difficult time. So I'm really glad that it exists for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was actually what I picked up over quarantine, was started making videos with my mom. I went from in about a month, I gained over 1.5 million followers and over 100 million views. And that was just with the extra time that I had on over quarantine. So there's so many possibilities for what you can do with extra time, and just with putting stuff on TikTok. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. So what happens for you next? Because having such a big splash, like we said, way over 5 billion, do you feel pressure to keep producing things that go viral?
Yeah, there's definitely some pressure there. I spent about two or 3 years beforehand just writing songs, and there's not too much pressure when you're just kind of writing songs day to day. And that's how I feel still, is that all of the pressure and the hard work is just done over time. You can take your time creating TikToks. You can take your time making amazing content. And ultimately, it does take a lot of the pressure off, because you don't have to perform in that moment. You can just edit it and make sure it's good and take as many takes as you want. So there's definitely pressure to put out great content, but I'm pretty confident that if I take my time and just relieve some of the pressure, it'll all come out good.
Beautiful. And for those that want to get in on it, what advice do you have for new TikTokers?
Yeah, advice I would say would be figure out what's special about you. Everybody has something special. For me, it was just I love music. But there's so many different things, and there's so many different niches that you can fit into in the TikTok community. And I would really encourage anyone, if you're looking to get into TikTok, find that one thing that makes you special and then just post. You'll figure out a lot about yourself and a lot about your page and what does well and what doesn't just by posting. Be creative. Don't be afraid to try new things, and you might be the next viral sensation.
Oh, I love it. Jake, thank you so much for adding a little more joy and fun to our lives right now. Thanks for being on the show.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me.
Take it easy. Have a good night.
See ya.
And there it is. So many different ways to get your art out there, and also so many different ways to interact with others, right? Sometimes building community means not having direct access to someone, but being able to spend time around them and with them to feel less lonely. And as I said, just to bring a little more joy and fun to your life. So anyway, use the apps for you, not against you, right? For those that need a little extra care and support, we're going to put some resources up. We'll be back next week at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on all the radio.com handles. As always, y'all, thanks for hanging out and have a beautiful, beautiful night.